Hi, Eric Linask here. We are in Miami, Florida for ITEXPO. In the studio with me is Kevin Butler from Vertical Communications. Kevin, great to have you on the program.
Thanks, Eric.
So let's talk a little bit about the merger between Vertical and Fulton and what the impact of that merger really means as far as the direct sales force.
Sure. We've gone out and gotten, the nation's largest leading direct sales force in telecommunications, and now it's part of the Vertical organization, which means we can truly be a vertically integrated organization. We're going to provide the whole solution set, from hardware and handsets to sales, software, support, and service. Whole thing.
Now, what does that mean for your existing reseller network? Does that change how you handle them?
Nothing really changes there. One of the great things about the Fulton footprint and our existing channel footprint is they overlay quite well against each other. We don't have a lot of places where we're going to see any direct competition going on there. We'll continue to have the great channel that we had before, and now we're just adding more coverage with an outstanding organization that our customer can have complete confidence in because it's all vertical branded.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about CRM Link.
So CRM Link, we just launched last week. It's our new software as a service. It's a web-based service that allows you to take a Wave IP communication system and hook it up to your leading CRM provider, be that Salesforce, NetSuite, Microsoft Dynamics, and then get all of the information that's going on with all those voice calls, get it out to your CRM package where you can fill that hole in, because voice is sort of that black hole of CRM reporting. No one ever actually gets that because you've got to go put it in manually. Mm-hmm. And the numbers show that maybe 40% of CRM users actually bother to fill that stuff in. So you've got the 60% hole, huge piece of information. We're filling that in, and we're doing it on the back end, where a lot of solutions previously have been sort of client-oriented. You load some software, and then the end user can use it to automatically pop screens and fill out stuff in their CRM. We do it all on the back end, so all the information is logged all the time, which means that the business actually gets 100% reporting. Whether you're using your desk phone or you're using your mobile device, we're going to report on all of it. And you really get an idea of what's going on with your voice communications. You actually understand the customer relationship now, so CRM really works.
Now, another critical part these days of your communications is the mobility aspect. Let's talk a little bit about Viewpoint Mobile and your latest release there. Kind of, what's the feedback? What are you seeing? What does it mean in terms of just the overall trend?
Sure. With Viewpoint Mobile, we continue to iterate it on a very fast cycle. We're putting out releases almost every quarter so that we can continue to update and improve it based upon field response. We've seen incredible uptake of it, mostly because our Viewpoint Mobile solution isn't something that you have to decide to add on. There's no additional cost. There's no additional hardware. Every user automatically gets the mobility solution with the product. And that's a really, really powerful driver. When you talk about UC adoption and how do we drive UC adoption in the field, simple way is make it a standard part of the package, and we see that with the mobility. We've really seen a great uptake of that in certain industries. We're spending a lot of time on certain vertical markets. And for example, in the auto dealership market, we're spending a lot of time with mobility being an answer there. Mm-hmm. Because your classic auto dealer sales agent, he's not at a desk. He's out there on the lot doing his job, right? But if he wants to still be able to take calls, or Eric, you're going to buy a new car, you want that guy to answer as soon as you call. And if you don't, what are you going to do? You're probably going to go to the next guy, right?
Right.
So, he's got to be constantly in contact, but he's never at his desk. So we see mobility as a huge play, and we've had a lot of success with our vertical market-specific auto dealership package. And as an aside, we're also launching that into CRM Link, having vertical-specific CRM packages. So we now have support for eLead One, one of the leading CRM packages in the auto dealership space, and that package is fully integrated with CRM Link. So you get the back-end reporting, and you get your users able to be in contact with a mobility solution wherever they are.
And you talked about mobility as a critical part of the UC package, and certainly how you've made it more specific, more relevant to the automotive industry. How important is it for you to be able to focus on different verticals, or a vendor in general to be able to focus on verticals and make
We think
it more
it's really
relevant?
Huge, and not just because it's our name, right?
Sure.
So, but it makes it really easy. Vertical communications, we've got to be doing stuff in vertical markets. We just finished a panel a little while ago, and really the consensus from all the people on it was that you really have to be a real expert to deploy UC successfully, to be a real have a real successful solution and not have failed UC adoption, which is what the panel was about.
Sure.
One of the ways to do that is by being a vertical market expert, to go in and be able to do it over and over again. So we see vertical markets as a huge importance when doing UC deployments. We spend a lot of time in auto dealerships. We spend a lot of time in education. We spend a lot of time in healthcare. But our biggest vertical market is an interesting space, which is large enterprise retail. We've been a success in large enterprise retail for years, and mobility is really playing into that because, once again, like the auto dealership, have you ever seen anybody in your local department store, at your little pharmacy down the street, who's sitting at a desk? No, they're all out on the floor walking around, right?
Sure.
And so mobility has been important to those guys for years, and to them, mobility has been a Motorola radio or maybe a cordless phone. Yeah. That's been mobility for them. Well, we're trying to get them into the 21st century where mobility is now an integrated device that gives them both unified communications solutions so that they can communicate back and forth, and also gives them a platform that they can put other applications on it. Something as simple as a barcode scanner. And this has a huge impact. We're seeing a massive impact and a big uptake in the retail space, where we've always been a leader in the space, but now we're really getting the ball rolling with mobility. And one of the great powers of that is it's going to make, when you go into those stores, your experience is going to be better, because how many times have you been in a department store and you hear the blaring music overhead and then you hear the announcements, oh, help needed in hardware or whatever.
Right.
All of that goes away with the UC mobility solution, because now we just ping them in an instant message and everybody gets it on their device. They look at it and go, oh, we need somebody in hardware, and they head over that way. And our back-end engine drives that until somebody actually answers the call and then goes over to hardware and takes care of it. So whole different experience. Now you get a quiet store, customers are happier, they spend more money.
No question about that. One of the interesting debates in the industry, obviously, for a few years now is, what's going to happen to the desk phone with the emergence of BYOD and the soft phone market? Are we going to see a continued decline and eventual demise, if you will, of the desk phone? Or is there always going to be a place?
Well, I hear this every few years. There's always something new that's going to go away. Right? The tablet was going to kill the PC, but PC sales continue. Because there's a use for the PC, there's a use for the tablet.
Sure.
Tablet sales are flattening. Does that mean it goes away? No, there's a use for the tablet, but it's becoming a mature marketplace. So mobility and mobile devices, everybody's got a mobile phone in their pocket. We have to integrate it, and we have to use that because that's what people are getting used to. But there's still absolutely use cases where the desk phone is going to be around, and you got to support it. The number of old school non-IP phones that are still out there is just astounding. And it's still in play, and those aren't going away anytime soon. So you've got to be able to support all of those, and you've got to be able to do it in a way where you get all that feature set, no matter what the device you've got.
So you mentioned that every few years we get into a conversation about what's going to run some other product out of the market. What do you see as being, a couple of the most significant trends, particularly for vertical in the next year or two?
One of the trends we're seeing that's really huge is happening not just in the telecommunications space, but across the software industry. Yeah. And to us, that's the trend of the fight, sort of, between consumer applications and business-level software. You see it more and more as businesses are realizing, well, consumer isn't using my enterprise file sharing system. They're going out and getting the innumerable cloud-based file sharing systems, and they're putting company files out there. And so their only response right now is to say, no, don't do that. Or let's just block the network. Last year, Morgan Stanley did this, and huge other enterprises are just blocking out their networks to say you can't use it. Well, now you're getting into an antagonistic relationship, right? The IT department is fighting the end user. And we think that the real big trend we're going to see is that companies like us who are making a business-level software, whether it be in the telecommunications space or somewhere else, has to realize that we have to compete with the consumer apps. We have to make our products in the telecommunications space better than things like the cell phone itself, products like FaceTime or WhatsApp or whatever the next big communication product is. It's got to be simple, it's got to be easy to use, and it's got to be something that not only does the business say, that's a great value for my business, but the end user says, and I'm going to use it too. Because going back to that panel we had earlier, failed UC deployments, the end user goes, well, this is pointless, this is complicated, I don't understand it, I can use this consumer app that I downloaded for $2 or free on my mobile device, right? So they use that instead. So the real trend is we're no longer competing against other business software. We're competing against the consumer market, and we've got to adapt to that.
I like the idea of defining the success or failure of a UC deployment based on end-user adoption. That's a great point, Kevin. Thank you for joining us. Great to have you here in Miami with us.
Thanks a lot.